Today we're talking about the new Netflix documentary series, Home Game, so let's get started. Hey everybody, my name is Justin. I love to watch movies. If you guys love to watch movies too, you guys are in the right spot. Make sure to hit that subscribe button down below and click that notification for more up-and-coming videos. This docu-series profiles unique and dangerous traditional sports from around the world, as well as the communities and cultures where they thrive. This is an 8-part documentary series that captures different sports from around the world. You have free diving, you have roller derby, you have the Highland Games, you have Cockburrow and Calcio Storico, which are all unique sports in their own way. Some of these I've heard of, like the Highland Games and roller derby and free diving. There are some very unique sports that I've never heard of, like Cockburrow, which is a sport that is on horses and you are trying to throw a dead goat into a pit so you can score points. There's also a sport in Italy that is similar to rugby and football, but instead they just beat each other up. Everybody's just getting hurt and there's 27 players on each side and they're trying to clear a path so someone can score a ball, but everybody's like literally fighting. It's like MMA on a field. I thought this series was so interesting. As someone who enjoys sports, I like baseball. I like watching basketball and football here and there. Baseball is my main sport. It's an American sport. There are so many different sports, though, around the world that I do not know of, and this show definitely did a good job of piquing my interest throughout each episode and wanting to know more about it. It's the kind of documentary series to where after you watch it, you go on Google, type it in, and research it just a little more. Each episode is different. It's not like a series that's in order. You can watch episode 8 and then 2 and then 7 and then 4, whatever order that you wanted to watch it in. Each episode is narrated by Mark Strong and is set up of introducing the game, introducing the rules, and then focusing on a couple players here and there, and then having those players express what that sport means to them, and then showing a championship game at the end. I really like how it's structured, and each episode is fairly short, but you get the interest right away. You get the rules, so you kind of understand what is going on, and then you get to hear stories from certain people about why they like it, what it means to them, the history behind it as well, and then a championship game at the end, which I love championship games, football, basketball, hockey, whatever. I think the thrill of the playoffs and the big championship, it gets me excited to watch sports. So it's cool to see a championship game for a lot of these different sports. It was interesting to learn some of the different sports that I do not know anything about. It was cool to see a little more of roller derby and Highland Games, things that I do know of, but seeing a little more about it as well. And there's even a sport where it's like similar to drag racing, but it's with water buffalo and the track is a flooded rice field. It's just cool to hear the different sports that are created and the history behind it and why they do it. Because we're used to, your typical sports like baseball, football, soccer, basketball, wrestling. But there's a spin on a lot of these different sports. But what made this documentary series so fascinating is how they showed all of the different parts of the sport. Like the training part of it. Like the Highland Games, they showed people training and throwing the logs and the big heavy hammers, and then them getting involved with the games as well. The free diving, the training behind it, and the endurance and what it means to be a free diver. So many different sports, all 8 of these, they have a nice setup, explaining the rules and all of that. I thought it was just so interesting. There's a lot of cool animation as well for the rules very early on in the series, and there's even a quote that kind of matches the sport as well. Home Game is such a cool series. The sports, I watched the first episode about the sport where they're just beating each other up while also trying to score points with a ball. I was like, I have never heard of this sport and I want to know everything about it. It's just a sport that just seems to pique my interest because I like MMA and boxing and fighting things. You know, I'm a guy, whatever. That sport I just want to watch over and over again. And then some of the other ones like Kookburu, where you're just tossing the dead ghosts. Like, what's the point in that? But I liked this series a lot. It was a very enjoyable series. I watched it all in one day, and I was so interested in each sport, the way that it was set up, explaining it. And each episode is fairly short as well, like 22 to 30 minutes each. Not a lot of time to do a lot of different things, but they do utilize its time very well. And Mark Strong is a good narrator as well. I like him as an actor, but he's got a knack for narration. Very calm voice as he's explaining the rules and everything as well. So if you guys like sports or you like odd things, definitely check out Home Game. There are some sports that are very unique, and I appreciated the moments where the players, where they were talking about what it meant to them, like the Highland Games and the traditions behind it and what Kookburu meant to a lot of people despite throwing a dead goat. There were so many cool moments where people were just expressing their feelings about the sport, which I thought was a nice touch to the series. I'm going to go ahead and give the Netflix documentary series Home Game a B+. Thank you guys for my review for Home Game. It is on Netflix now. Stay tuned for more up and coming Netflix content. You guys are the best as always. My name is Just Watch Movies, and you guys stay classy, YouTube.